everyone, welcome to the Mono Report. I'm your host Mono, and today we've got a very special solo spoilers talk where we're talking whether Star Wars fatigue has finally set in for the franchise. I'm joined by my very special guest, Vahn. How's it going, Vahn?
Hey man, it's the first live show. How's it going,
First live
man?
show!
Yeah,
Damn.
Yeah, this is great. We're finally get to do this in person, and it's going to be a really good spoiler cast.
Yeah, today I'm down in LA, so I'm actually getting to do a live recording here with Vahn. So first time we've actually got to do it, in the same area.
It's fantastic, man. We've been planning this for a long time.
Instead of over Skype or anything like that. So this is pretty cool. So today we're talking about Solo and where the film kind of is at the moment. It's the last week has been interesting to say the least about the film. Obviously, the film did not open to what Disney was hoping for. We both liked the film.
I really enjoyed it, man. I really liked this.
Both really enjoyed the film. I thought it was a really fun, just little adventures.
It's an awesome fan service movie.
Set just entirely in the Star Wars universe, and anything, any fans could benefit from that entirely. So it's a lot of fun, especially for diehard Star Wars fans, with a lot of really fun surprises in there.
Especially for people that were turned off by Last Jedi, a lot of people are really enjoying this movie.
Exactly. So especially we had a big backlash from a big group of people, a very vocal group of people that did not like The Last Jedi. So now we've got something that's toned down. It's not altering the universe in a big way. It's just here to tell Han Solo's story. And as you guys would have seen from my non-spoiler review, I really dug it, and I really enjoyed some of the surprises that the movie had, especially, we're going to bring it up now, the big one, Darth Maul.
Oh, man.
Right at the end, that a lot of people just really weren't expecting. I did not expect it.
I did not either. I heard there was a big cameo at the end, but I didn't know who it was. And once it was revealed, I was like, ah!
You're like, oh my god, who is this guy? And it's so surprising and so fun that,
And it's perfect, because we're not going to go into the whole thing, but if you guys have watched the Clone Wars or the Rebels TV series, you know exactly why he's running the underground crime circuit. You know exactly why he's doing that, exactly why Crimson Dawn is run by him. It just fits in perfectly. And the Kazdans had said, the writers said that he was the big surprise from the beginning. They didn't just shoehorn him in. This was a guy they knew they wanted to be in the end. It made the most sense.
Yeah, and I think it was a great way that they could tie in the prequel films into this film, because of course Ron Howard was meant to do Phantom Menace and finally got
to work with it. And Ray Park is back as Darth Maul from Episode 1, and Sam Witwer from the TV series comes and voices him. I think it's a great combination.
It's a great combination. I know a lot of people have been digging back into Clone Wars and Rebels.
And for the people who haven't seen it are more interested, how is this guy still alive? And now they're going to watch it, and Filoni's going to get a lot of praise again, because now they get to go back and watch this and experience his backstory as to why he's still around and how he survived being cut in half in Phantom Menace.
Right. So it's opened the doors a bit to not only Maul possibly returning in future films, because
even the Kazdans teased that.
Solo definitely leaves things open for a potential sequel at the end.
They're definitely setting him up for the big bad guy, and also it makes sense because the fact that he's running all this underground crime unit, it makes sense that this would be the guy, as I said, and if they continue with his story, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the head guy hiring all these different characters in these spin-off films.
Definitely. So it's going to be really quite interesting to see, where Star Wars sort of goes from here.
By the way, I should plug in, how awesome was it to hear Duel of the Fates again?
Absolutely amazing. There's little cues just to remind people that, hey...
They didn't have to put that in there, but they totally did.
It was incredible and totally unexpected again, but it's absolutely...
It proves that the audience is there. And the thing I should bring up about this is that when we saw Ray Park in Phantom Menace, he's a great martial artist, so he's doing all the lightsaber twirling, he's doing the kicks and everything, he's doing his martial arts lightsaber fighting. When you see him talk with Sidious, it's a different actor, it's a different voice. Here, you get to see how, even though Sam Witwer dubs his voice in this, you can see how great of an actor Ray Park really is. He's menacing, so if you can get him back into these other movies, He's proven, like, this guy's a good actor. Like, he can actually convey these emotions. He's quite frightening.
Well, he's got the talent, you know. It's all there, and especially great
Big shout out to Parks, man.
Massive shout out to Ray Parks for coming back, you know, live action form into the Star Wars universe.
Yes.
It's great, great seeing an old man Darth Maul.
Imagine the amount of secrecy he had to hold, because I showed you this. I had a tweet. I asked him, hey, will Maul ever come back? This was like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. He's like, I hope so, man. And I guarantee he knew back then. And he has to keep his mouth shut for that entire time. Man, that's a big secret to hold for a long time,
secret,
man.
especially with like all the publicity that the movie got and everything. Just being able to keep that all on the wraps.
Ron Howard killed it, man. What a perfect guy. I never had any doubts when they hired him after Lord and Miller left. This was a guy that, as you said, was supposed to do Phantom Menace. George took over. Now he's back. Totally. This is the way I said in my generic review. I said, was this a movie we needed? No. I agree with fans. No, we didn't need this Han Solo movie. But was it a movie I'm glad we got? Yeah, I actually am. I had a really good time. I've seen it 5 times. It was a fun movie. It doesn't stop from the opening sequence. It's just, man, it's a speeder chase through Corellia. It goes. There's no setup. You're just in.
Yeah, straight from the get-go, I think Alden, you know, we both think Alden killed
great.
it as Han Solo, even though, you know, Harrison Ford did his own thing. That's how
There were totally Harrison moments in this. He killed some of the smirks and some of the dialogue.
had the mannerisms that people expect from Harrison Ford, which we really liked.
I never thought I'd say this, but since he's contracted for 2 more movies, I'm like, yeah, I want to see more of him.
I absolutely would love to see him, even though if he pops up in other films, other prequel films along the way.
That's what I think's going to happen.
I would absolutely love to see that. And obviously, moving forward, you know, with this film, we get some setup where we know that they want to go into exploring how Han Solo becomes tied up with the Hutts and involved in that whole underworld, because we don't see Boba Fett in this movie.
We see a Mandalorian armor.
See Mandalorian armor. Like, we get
Dryden's office, which was pretty dope. And here's the really, 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 really deep cuts thing that I don't know if you spotted, but a lot of fans spotted, but also a lot of fans didn't spot. Because Maul is the leader of Crimson Dawn, and if you watch the Rebels TV series, there's a holocron in that office.
Whoa.
There's literally a holocron in that office. I'm like, oh my god. They put that in there. And it makes total sense. Because if you know the story of Rebels, Maul is hunting down those Sith holocrons.
So it's all setting, it's all got a purpose.
It's perfect, dude, and that's why I think the movie is so good.
It's so fun.
It's fan service done right. It's not thrown at you because it's thrown at you because it makes sense and you know exactly where it was going. And I'll say this, the biggest thing walking into this, other than Alden's performance, is how are they going to do this Kessel run? Is it going to live up to everything we've heard? Oh my god, does it? I'm lost for words. It's perfect.
It's perfect. I mean, you get all the moments that we sort of knew about Han Solo and all the things he's talked about over the years in the different movies. So finally, we get to see some of them.
Oh, it's so good.
I mean, it's not going to be game-changing things that we don't know about.
No, but it's so positive to what everybody expected it to be.
You know,
it's a million times better than everybody expected.
How Han wins the Falcon, how he meets Lando.
Childish is so good.
Childish is amazing. I mean, you can put him in anything, I think, you know.
There was moments where he looks like total Billy D.
He had mannerisms, and it had, you know, everyone sort of brought their own to the roles, and I think that's...
Huge shout out to John Powell, man. Like, this guy, I mean, I've been a huge fan of his since How to Train Your Dragon, and he's doing this score. And I talked to you about this. I really enjoyed Giacchino's score for Rogue One, but I like this so much better because he brings his melodic themes. This is a composer that is not afraid to showcase the beautiful melodic themes and tunes that he puts in here, but he mixes it with Williams' score really well. Like, Williams wrote an original Han theme that's in here, and then you hear the callbacks to New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. It's all in there, man. And even Duel of the Fates, as we talked about.
It's all in there, so that's why it's a great fan service film for Star Wars fans.
If he comes back, I'm all for that.
That's what a lot of us are saying, you know, moving forward. I've said I would have actually really liked him to have done the Rogue One score, even though we know Giacchino...
Boba Fett. We still got Boba Fett coming.
Still got Boba Fett. I mean, yeah, we know, you know, Giacchino had to rush that Rogue One
But it still
score.
ended up really nice.
Still ended up fine, but I think, yeah, John Powell really has now...
Got the time. He worked with Williams, so he knew exactly what he wanted to do.
Got the time, and it's got that Star Wars flavor. So it honors
I've been blasting that score, by the way.
Oh, my God, of course.
It's so good. Oh, man.
So it just, yeah, I think Powell absolutely honored Star Wars while doing things that we hadn't really heard before. But I want to move forward now just with the rest of sort of these Star Wars prequels because, of course, now a lot of us know, you know, Star Wars hasn't, you know, Solo hasn't performed particularly well at the box office.
Yeah.
There's sort of a number of reasons as to why this could have happened. A lot of people think possibly due to being 6 months apart from The Last Jedi,
and
which
also the reactions for that movie.
understandably quite a divisive movie that a lot of some of us really liked. I still
really dug it, but I think it also has to do with when it opened, because I know you have the May the 4th Be With You is when the tickets came out, and then you have the May date where the traditional Star Wars movies have been released. They wanted to aim for that. But you have to remember, Disney was going against their own movie, which was Avengers Infinity War. That is still performing. And then Deadpool comes out, and that makes like buttloads of money. So it's going against two movies that are sort of superseding it. I went to the theater to see this 5 times, and the guys that work at my IMAX kept saying, look, Deadpool is still outperforming both of those movies. And because everybody's seen Avengers. If you haven't seen Avengers at this point, where have you been? Watch that spoiler review, because I think it's really good.
Great spoiler review.
However, that's still performing. Deadpool's still super well, performing really well. So yeah, this was kind of cut in the back a little bit. But it's not to say it didn't have the audience. It had the audience, but after that first weekend you saw it die down. I think it's dying down now.
Yeah, I think for sure, Avengers has pretty well done its run. I mean,
it's still going.
Crossed $2 billion at the box office, so pretty much everyone has seen it by now. If you haven't seen it, you're probably not going to see it now.
And if you're not, where have you been?
And I mean, of course, Deadpool was, a big hit.
It's still killing it right now.
Still killing it. So, I mean, I know a lot of people was seeing, people going to see Solo, and not many theaters being sold out or anything like that. Mine
was pretty full. The first weekend, I will say, was pretty busy.
Yeah, Thursday night, of course, Thursday night previews, pretty packed. You get the hardcore audience going.
But the majority of fans leaving, people I didn't even know, were really positive about it. They didn't hate it. I think this is something I'm really looking forward to buying when it comes out.
Yeah, it's like the people that have gone and see it, most of them at least have come away quite positive, and there's been a lot of positive reactions to it. And obviously a lot of people now are quite, disappointed with how the film has performed. It's not making, this film with reshoots is currently budgeted, I think, at about $300 million.
But, oh my God, you can't even tell. That's the great thing about this movie. You can't even tell. I mean, there's Lord and Miller shots in this movie, but if they kept all this reshoot stuff silent, you can even tell this was reshot. It was so perfect.
Right. I think,
This wasn't the Justice League moment.
No, you got Ron Howard, and a friend of George Lucas's, and a professional who could just come in.
Oh, Willow 2, man. Willow 2.
Willow 2, it's happening. It's going to happen.
Talks with them.
So it's, you had a master director come in and just manage to fix things across the board.
They shot fast. They did it in very few takes. They kept going.
Gets me very excited if, Ron Howard ever does one just from the ground up and gets to make his own Star Wars film without, having to...
I'm sure all the fans would be for that.
I think a lot of people would be for that.
A lot of Twitter reactions have said Ron Howard saved Star Wars.
Definitely.
I mean, that's overreacting, but for those hardcore fans like me, the people that are just like, oh, they ruined my childhood, a lot of people of those hardcore BS fans are literally like, yeah, Ron Howard killed it. We want to see him come back and make another.
Because that's the thing. This movie could have come out far worse than it actually did. So
you can't even tell. If people are out of the loop, you can't tell.
That's it. So I mean, obviously, it's been a bit of a struggle. We're in the second weekend as of recording this that Solo's been out. Numbers,
it's had its run.
It's had its run. It's had a sharp decline at the box office, and given that, we're about 2 weeks away from Incredibles 2, which is
going to be huge. And look out for that spoiler review, because...
That'll be a great one. But, we're getting... Even though we've got a couple weeks now for some smaller films to fit in, but Incredibles 2 will be the next big
That'll be a huge one.
Blockbuster. So I think Solo, if it's it hasn't been making it now, has to cross about $500 million to break even.
But Disney's confident with all their movies coming in.
Well, luckily, of course, they've had Avengers make $2 billion.
Incredibles is coming out.
As well as Black Panther made $1.5 billion.
Ant-Man's coming out.
So they're okay. Well, Last Jedi still made 1.4, 1.5 billion.
It's a saga film.
So, Disney can afford Solo kind of bombing a bit, It's not,
It's not the end of the world for them.
Not the end of the world for Disney. Disney's got money in the bank.
But I'm sure it'll be interesting to see how home video does, because I'm pretty confident home video is going to do pretty well.
Well, I think, it's going to be interesting to see people's word of mouth. We haven't seen word of mouth do so well for the theatrical run, because, they would have gone and seen it this weekend.
Yeah.
But if word of mouth, people who weren't, super on board with just rushing out to a theater that were happy to just wait for it to be on Blu-ray.
Yeah. I can't wait.
you know, and like you know, hardcore
Well, we
Star Wars
forgot to
fans.
mention, it came out Memorial Day weekend. It did horrible for a 3-day weekend.
For a 3-day weekend, should have been
Everyone's off. Everyone's going to the movies. It should have done better.
Should have done far better. Especially for a long weekend. But it just hasn't, you know, lived up.
It's a shame because it's actually good.
It's it's a fun time and it's a really enjoyable.
My recommendation, I think I think you've heard both our reactions. Go see it. I think you should go see it.
Go see it. You know, there's expectations about the film you just can throw out or just. It's
a popcorn movie. Grab some popcorn and Coke and have some fun. Enjoy the movie.
It's a pure Star Wars popcorn adventure.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That you won't have to think a whole deal about.
God, it's like 2 hours and 15 minutes. It feels like an hour.
Right? It's fast paced.
It's so great. Great characters. I wasn't bored at all.
With you got to see the formation of Chewie and Han's relationship.
Hera was fantastic. L3 was one of my new favorite droids of all time.
And, a lot of interesting characters around, and you're just really digging into that previous Star Wars mythos that we've only heard about.
If you haven't seen the movie and you're listening to this, just because of Darth Maul, you should go see this.
Yeah, if you
see him on the big screen again, oh my gosh.
Yeah, if you want to see Darth Maul, go see this film. This is where you're going to see Darth Maul on the big screen.
Support for him coming back.
Exactly. We want let's at least get Darth Maul back on the big screen in live action. So obviously, this starts springing into questions now about what's going to sort of happen with Star Wars, because a lot of people now are sort of, we're breaking down why Solo might not have performed well. So, like we were saying before, really a combination of things. It's sort of, whether it was being released too closely to Avengers and Deadpool, which a lot of us seem to agree. I mean, it was nice that it released on the 41st anniversary of New Hope.
It was an interesting try, and I think. It was what it was.
I mean, it was great, honoring the franchise's legacy of being released in May, but since they've kind of made the home in December, and obviously, being released very closely to at the previously divisive Star Wars film.
Because Episode 9 doesn't come out until December 2019. You have more than a year of a gap now.
So now we kind of have a bit of a break from Star Wars films, which I think is probably a good thing, especially for now. We've had
the excitement for Episode 9 coming out.
Get the excitement building and everything. Get people sort of hungry for Star Wars again, because I think now that we've had two Star Wars films, basically in the period of in a span of 6 months, which brings into it's like how often should these Star Wars films, because the appeal of Star Wars for me was always the fact that we had to wait a little while to get Star Wars, which is why Force Awakens did so well. Because
it was huge. It was a 10-year gap.
10-year gap in between it, so we could actually build up anticipation for it and get excited again. So that was really exciting.
One of the best hype years I've ever been a part of.
It was the return of Star Wars. It was
Abrams on the helm. It was all good.
We'd been through the prequel years, and we're like, this is.
And that's a whole different discussion.
Whole different discussion.
I'm sure we'll have one at some point.
Definitely. So it's now. Tying this back into Solo. Where it's
my thoughts on why I don't think it's doing so good is two things. One, it got released at the wrong time. Two, I strongly believe it's people's reaction to Last Jedi. Shout out to World of Geekdom, Danny, who does amazing shows. If you haven't checked him out, go check him out. He did a series of videos called "Is Disney Ruining Star Wars?" The inconsistencies between Force Awakens, Last Jedi. The Last Jedi split the fandom. All these kind of videos, and he wasn't hating on them. He was basically dissecting everything as to why this movie didn't work. And in a nutshell, I totally agree with him. Last Jedi pissed a lot of people off. Because when you start deconstructing like a character like Luke Skywalker, somebody who's been around 40 plus years and people have this idea of him, it's going to piss people off. It's just going to happen. And with all this SJW stuff that people keep throwing at the Canto Bight stuff, Admiral Holdo, and all this like women power, look, I love kick-ass women. Let's just put that on the spot right there. I'm for Rey and for all these characters. But when you start putting it in my face, I think it pissed off a lot of people. And a lot of original trilogy fans are pissed off of Last Jedi. Man, I've read the Rotten Tomatoes audience reviews. That's not a hack. I mean, there's some people in there like, no, I didn't like the movie. But there's a lot of intelligent writers on there, and they can literally break down why they didn't like this movie. It turned a lot of people off, man. So if we get more movies like Solo released at the right time, it doesn't piss on the fans. It actually encourages old trilogy fans to come back, original trilogy fans. I think you're going to see the return of Star Wars because will it get fatigued? If it keeps going like this, yeah. But look at the MCU. It used to be a year apart. Now we're getting 2-3 movies a year. Now, why are people still going back? Because they're good. They're intelligent. They tell great stories. They're not afraid to challenge the audience. If these Star Wars movies with these prequels and spin-offs and Rian Johnson's new trilogy and the series from the Game of Thrones writers, if these turn out to be MCU, I hate comparing them, but if they end up being MCU quality movies, no, it's never going to end. Because if you give me good content, people will go. It's proven. What? We're on the 20th MCU movie now? It should have been fatigued already, and it's not.
Yeah.
So do it like that, I'm sure you'll be fine.
Definitely, because I think the benefit that the Marvel films has is that so many of them can be different, right? It's like one film can be a heist film with Ant-Man, or one can be a space opera with Guardians of the Galaxy. You can get, a war film with Captain America.
But why are so many people excited for the Kenobi film? Because it's obviously it's a story between episode 3 and 4. You want Ewan McGregor to come back, but that movie seems so stylistically different than anything we've seen. And the reason people are excited is not just because Ewan's coming back, not because Stephen Daldry is most likely going to direct and all this great stuff. It's a new vision in this world. And I feel like Solo was just a fan service movie, worked out. Last Jedi took some risks. In the bad way, I think. It did a lot of things right, did a lot of things bad. Kenobi is the most anticipated film, in my opinion, for a lot of Star Wars fans, is because they're respecting the prequels now, and they're not afraid to go into new directions. And if you can give me movies like that, where it's a totally different kind... This is going to be a psychological movie. If you're in the desert for that long, you're going to get... It's not going to be your cracking open lightsaber and just fighting everyone. This is going to be a very melancholy... psychological movie. It's something we've never seen in Star Wars. So if you keep changing the game like Winter Soldier and Civil War and all this stuff, people will be interested, man. You're challenging the audience. You're not giving them the same repetitive stuff over and over again.
Yeah, because I think that what really excites people about Kenobi is that, okay, we get to really see Ewan McGregor kind of own the character, because that's he
wants to do more Star Wars
always
movies.
been, the one part of the prequels that people really love. So getting him, his own movie that isn't like a prequel / origin film.
It's right after 3.
Like Solo, so you're avoiding the, straight up origin story, so you don't have to worry about any of that. It's in an interesting period that people wanted to see explore.
What's he been doing on Tatooine? All those years?
So it's like, even though, we've seen some stories recently with, both Solo and Rogue One, experience, covering that time period in the Star Wars mythos, but this is probably, out of all of them, the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie is the one that people really seem to be hungry for.
And I'm most interested, because I mentioned this to a lot of my film crew, I mentioned it to you, about how I find that all these spin-off movies are always, I'm not saying they're always going to be, but from what we are going through now, like Solo, Rogue One, all these movies are taking place right after Anakin has just become Vader. It's almost right after Episode 3, in between 4. I feel like it's so interesting that they're placing all these movies there, because I feel like that's one of the most interesting time periods of the Star Wars saga. You have Anakin has just become Vader, the Empire has just become the stronghold, the Empire as we know, and look, we're in a part now in Solo where a lot of people didn't know that the Empire was the big bad. There were some people that started getting hints of it, but nobody knew how truly terrifying Nazis these people were. So when you're in a period of like that and you explore that world, Kenobi's going to explore the world after the Jedi Purge. And I think that's so interesting that he's one of the very few remaining Jedi left in the galaxy.
Exactly. And I think, Kenobi goes off without a hitch. They're obviously very carefully planning out that film to make sure...
Cannot wait.
Exactly. They don't want another Lord and Miller situation where they, have to fire...
Daldry's the perfect guy.
Directors halfway through. So just, if they can go through, without any hassles, because of course, Rogue One had problems as well with its production, changing...
But look how great that ended up.
Ended up being, worked out for the best. So I think if we can get a straightforward Star Wars film that people are interested in, the one of the standalone Star Wars films that have been teased, Obi-Wan is still obviously the number one.
And my sources have even said they've started pre-production in Pinewood right now. So they're going to announce this pretty soon officially, and it's going to be great.
It's going to be insane. But now we're sort of starting to put into question like whether Disney and Lucasfilm will really try and experiment with prequel films anymore, because I think we've obviously got the Boba Fett film announced with James Mangold,
which is fantastic. And he's writing
and directing, which I'm very excited for. I mean, they dropped that news just before Solo release, which
the day of actually.
The day of,
so great.
I think a lot of people were like, okay, this is them being pretty confident that it was going to work, but obviously, I think now this sort of starts to put into question whether Boba Fett ends up being a prequel film, like setting up his origin, because obviously people didn't really run out to go and see Han Solo's origin.
My theory's always been, if you're going to have Maul be the leader of Crimson Dawn, he's the guy that hires the Mandalorian bounty hunter.
Right.
And yes, would we all like to see him escape that Sarlacc? Oh my god. Pardon the language. Fuck yeah, we would. Fuck yeah, we would. That's been in the expanded universe. It's been in the video games. We've always wanted to see that. If they can cross between movies, holy crap, I'd like to see that too.
I mean, I think I'm one of the fans that would love to see him escape from the Sarlacc pit. Let's see that side of things.
That's great, but my gut's telling me it's not that.
I seem to think it's more of a prequel, with learning more about it.
If done right, I cannot wait.
If it's done right, I think it's going to win a lot of people over, because a lot of people doubting the film now.
And Star Wars Celebration is coming up, so I'm going to that, which is going to be huge. They're going to announce all this stuff.
We're going to see everything sort of blow the doors wide open, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be interesting. I don't think we're going to see many more prequel or origin style prequels come out of Star Wars for now. I think a lot of the films that have been announced with Benioff Weiss, Rian Johnson, I think they're clearly going to be exploring.
And Episode 9's literally from where we're recording, they're about a month away from starting production on 9.
Right. So we got these films that's exploring different periods of the Star Wars timeline, not being so
original characters,
heavily tied into the original characters. So trying to set up and establish new characters that we haven't seen before.
Look, if they the final question from all of this we've talking about, if they take their time, if they know what they're doing, I'm all in. And I think the fans will be if they just trust the fans and to know, hey, we're doing this. We're not going to rush this. We're not going to DCEU this stuff. Because I've seen a lot of articles comparing Star Wars to the DCEU. Are they going to be the new failure about what Justice League happened? Please no, because this is a franchise you cannot fuck up. You can't.
Yeah. No, you can't have this happen to Star Wars. It's one of the holy franchises in Hollywood. So I think
trust the fans. Trust in yourselves. I think it'll be great.
Obviously. And I think, if we, now that we've, as we said before, we've got a bit of time to sort of process these, the results and everything, and some time until Episode 9.
People seem to be on a high, because like I said before, people that saw Solo really enjoy it, so they're not walking out upset. They're in the mediocre side. There's some people that are really praising it. There's some people that are mediocre. I haven't seen much hate for this, so I feel like people are still willing to give this a chance.
Yeah, I have not seen many people be overly negative or anything, so I'm looking forward to see what transpires from here, what the reactions end up being. We've sort of started to,
it's going to be very interesting.
Exactly. Obviously, Disney are doing what they have to do.
We're going to get more announcements probably this summer about more the Kenobi. We're probably going to get a Kenobi announcement anytime now.
So this sort of starts to fall into question now whether because a lot of us were sort of speculating whether Star Wars would try and expand to do two films in the 1 year. We've obviously, even though Last Jedi came out in 2017,
it kind of feels
like it's been 6 months between films. So I think this is kind of your textbook case example where it's like, okay, I personally don't think we're gonna be getting 2 films a year because of what we've just seen.
And the reactions.
And
like I said before, if you can constantly put out great content, people will go. People are writing articles. When will the MCU get fatigue? And I hate to compare franchises, but you have to. People are like, when do you get MCU fatigue? Not as long as you keep putting out original stuff that people are invested in. If you can get us invested in these characters, then we're going. We're all going. We're going to go regardless, but we're going to be even more amped to go. Like I said before on my on our Adventures spoilercast, I don't overhype the MCU anymore. Because I know if I go in, I'm going to be getting my money's worth. I'm probably going to get a Satisfactory movie to beyond excellent. I know what I'm in for with these movies. If you told me Ant-Man and the Wasp is going to suck, I probably wouldn't believe you until I saw it. Because they've had a really great track record. Do these with these Star Wars movies? I want to get to the point where I don't overhype these anymore. I just want to go knowing, okay, Star Wars movie coming out, it's going to kill it.
Exactly. We want to know what we can expect from it, especially Disney, We've had the franchise has been back for what 3 years now.
Yeah.
So we want to really, and it's
I'm
not.
holding my fingers out for it to be the next MCU next decade thing.
That's it. We want to really see them, go all in and try different things now. We want to see them,
New directors
that completely unexpected. Obviously, they're
writers, everybody.
Exactly. Obviously they've been a little hesitant on getting the younger directors after the Lord and Miller and Josh Trank situations, that sort of thing.
But who knows what the future entails?
Who knows what the future entails? So it's going to be a really interesting period.
It's not a gloomy moment in Star Wars. I feel like this is a very intriguing moment in the Star Wars.
Yeah, obviously, the box office is always going to be like a duller moment, so you can't avoid that. Disney are doing what they're doing now.
But I'm optimistic about it.
Exactly.
I'm not let down enough to say I'm over it.
Yeah, that's right. So things are going to be done to try and prevent this sort of thing from happening again. That's just how businesses work.
That's
They're going to make sure that if we can eventually get back to the period where we can release Star Wars movies so closely to each other,
that'd be great.
We want to make sure that people are excited to go and run out for the next one rather than be okay.
And let me just say something really quick. If you're in the comments saying fire Kathleen Kennedy, ain't ever gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You guys can cry about it, say she sucks. Unfortunately, all the decisions that are being made is not only with her. It's called the story group. And yeah, right, we've been on record saying Rian Johnson didn't really work with the story group and all that, but you know what? You got Hidalgo, you got everybody working there, and these are really fine people. So, if you're really going to go on the limb that the fans are going to get Kennedy fired, no, that's all Bob Iger's choice, and so far he has no reason to get her fired.
That's right. She's 3 for 1 at the moment. She's had 3 films that, yes, Last Jedi was divisive, but
still made money. The money talks.
Still made money. Yes, Solo has not made that money, but when you've got
1 out of the 3 movies that did amazingly well,
right? So you've had 3 movies straight in a row that did well.
And I think she's great. I really think she is the right person to take this franchise. It's just I think they should make some more bold moves, not take it safe all the time.
Definitely, no. I'm looking forward to seeing them try and experiment more. I think we're definitely going to be seeing more original characters out of the Star Wars universe. Yeah. Different time periods. I think people are really aside
the Benioff stuff. I'm really looking forward to.
Oh my god! And look, as much as people are still divisive on Rian Johnson, I'm still going to be curious to see what.
Yeah, because that dude took risks. Whether if it's for better or for worse, the dude took risks. And the thing I'm really looking forward to with his trilogy is now he's not worrying about changing up characters we know. He's going to take risks with new characters. So if it doesn't work, we can't really blast him because we'll blast him for story if it doesn't work. But if the risks he's taking, we can't really blast that because hey, he's not Skywalker and he's not doing anything.
He's not touching Luke Skywalker. He's not touching Princess Leia. Yeah. So it's it's his own creation.
And honestly, I didn't think it was. You'll listen to my opinions. So listen to that spoilercast. It was beyond 2 hours. I think it's a really great one. If you haven't listened to that, please listen to that and come back to this.
Absolutely. So guys, thank you very much. Vahn,
this very first live episode.
Yeah. So we're gonna hopefully have more of these happen in the future. So of course, Vahn, if people want to follow you, where can they find you?
Twitter and Instagram, and ImAFilmEditor, man.
Awesome, and of course you guys can follow me at the Mono Report on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So guys, thank you very much, and don't forget to stay right here for your Mono Fix. Bye, guys.